Thanks everyone for being here. My name is Lori Ann Smith, and I'm a child abuse survivor. I just choose to speak publicly about my story and the story of my siblings and what happened to my family. Um, Thanks for tuning in. All of my work dealing with child abuse and domestic violence and abuse of any type actually is very graphic and very detailed. And you have to listen at your own discretion and watch at your own discretion. I'm talking about very uncomfortable topics that make most people very uncomfortable. I lived with this my whole life. I faced the aftermath of the abuse. I live with the memories and the PTSD and the flashbacks, and it's just part of my daily life. I have to deal with it. And but for a lot of people, this may be very disturbing information, and so you have to listen at your own discretion. If you're a survivor and you're on your healing journey, I just ask that you would make sure that you're in a safe enough place, in your healing journey, that you feel comfortable listening to this type of material, because nobody wants to regress in their healing journey. You want to continue to move forward to be able to make progress in your healing journey. And so if you think this show might bother you, or my information with the Blog Talk Radio audios that I did 1,100 of those, and I'm uploading those now. It's taking a while. It'll take a while. And my information, it can trigger survivors of abuse. And so I ask that you listen at your own discretion. Be very careful. Make the right decision for yourself. Minors under the age of 18, anyone under the age of 18, I ask that you have an adult check out my stuff first and make sure that it's age appropriate for you. Because I don't know how young the people are that will be listening to my shows. And children should be protected at all times. And I just think that this type of material can be very confusing for some young people, very upsetting. So make sure, if you're a young person, that you would have adult consent, somebody, a parent, or somebody, a caregiver, or an adult, listen to this information first, and listen with you maybe, and make sure that it's age appropriate for you. And, and if you're a child who's being abused, get help. Reach out to somebody who's trustworthy. Reach out to more than one person, actually. Make sure they call 911, report it, get some help. This is a serious issue. And we're just going to pick up where we left off. We're looking at years 11 to 12, and I'll cover, as much as I can in those 2 years. It's just to fill in the details, sort of where I did detail, actually, most of this, if not all of this, in my books, A Life of Death, Redemption, One Child Abuse Survivor to Another, La Vida Juvies. But I'm kind of just going through progressively talking about what happened to the destruction of our family, of my family. So, and the abuse that I suffered. So it's very graphic and very explicit. And thanks for everybody for being here. So we'll get right into this. We left off year 10, 10 years old, just had gone through this horrific beating from my mother that broke my nose. I mean, just a lot of facial damage and a lot of cuts and, split lip. And that was just not too long after my dad had thrown me into a wall. I was discussing that on the last video. And I really felt dead at that point. I really felt that I was dead. They had killed me. They'd killed my spirit. And I felt different. I felt dead inside. And I felt that I may as well just be dead physically on the outside, because I was dead inside. And so this is where we left off in the last video. And that was the fall, actually, when that happened. My sister, actually, that day before this all happened, had taken a photo outside of me and my nephews playing on those monkey bars that I was talking about. And we still have the photo. And it was a fall day, and in the fall. And heading towards Christmas, I still had the bruises on my face. I mean, my face took a long time to heal up. And you could see the black eyes, where my mom had broke my nose. No, I received no hospital attention. Never, ever did I ever receive any hospitalization or doctor attention from any of the beatings that I received from my parents that were horrific, or the child sexual abuse. None of it. My parents, they were brought up on abuse charges. The last thing they were going to do was take me to the doctor. They actually, I'll go into detail later in a couple of shows about an episode that happened to my sister, actually, where they didn't want to take her to get help, medical treatment, because they were already brought up on abuse charges, and they just didn't want to deal with this stuff. Even though my mom didn't care if she lost us, like she said, I don't care. The teachers actually saw the abuse. They did nothing about it. And I used to hide things. I'd sit in class. Of quite often, if I had a bruise or a welt on my face, I would sit like this. I'd wear my hair down. I had lots of things that I would do. When I got older, I put makeup on. You know, they did, but they still could see, the damage. I mean, it was enough. You could notice it. Well, winter came, Christmas came, and I just remember this family who was a friend of my mom's and dad's. They were really a friend of my sister's, my older sister, who was 18 years older than me, who was at this time, I'm 10 years old. She's 18 years older, so she is 28 years old with her own children. So I'm 10 years old, so my mom is 48 at this time, and this is the beating that I got from her that really trashed my face. And these people, they were friends of the family. They wanted to take me to see Santa Claus at the mall and get a photo taken with their daughter, because they had a little daughter who was 4 years younger than me. And I used to kind of pal around with her a little bit. She used to come over to the house and we'd play and, play Barbies and whatnot. She was a little younger. And but I really liked her. And I could even say I really loved her. But our relationship grew cold, and we stopped hanging around, and we stopped talking to each other after a while. But just because she was so busy with her life, I was busy with mine, and I was doing a lot of drugs at the time. But I'll go into detail about that later. But her parents wanted to take me to go see Santa Claus, so they were supposed to be coming to pick me up. And my mom had already told them, I guess, that I could go because they had come by to pick me up. Because my parents would never take me to do stuff like that. No, my parents didn't take me to do anything. If my nephews were around, my dad would take us to go get an ice cream in the summertime or, something like that. My mom would actually allow us to go with him to go get an ice cream, things like that. But it was rare, and my parents wouldn't take me to go do anything. So none of us kids, actually. I mean, so it wasn't just me. I mean, they wouldn't take any of their children to do anything like that. And so these people came to see if I wanted to go with their daughter. And my mom was like, you know, that little bitch, she's not going anywhere. She doesn't deserve to be taken out to see Santa Claus. And these people were like, come on, you gotta let her go. You gotta let her come with us. And they had to literally beg my mom to let me go with them to take a picture with Santa Claus. And I mean, they could see the bruises, they could see the damage done. They knew what she was doing to me. And yet people just didn't snap because my mom was so concerned. My mother was narcissistic, first of all. She was mentally ill. She was a narcissist as well. And everything was about her. So it was like, oh, these kids are driving me crazy. And my husband, he's just so bad. And, you know how he is. And he's mistreating me. And I'm not getting any help around the house. And Howard's on drugs. And Kathy's off with her friends. And I've got this rotten little bitch here that I have to deal with all the time. I mean, I was just the rotten little punching bag, something that she could just take her frustrations out on, right? These people it's just like they cared about my mother more than, of course they do. Now, when you do child abuse studies, you find out. People don't know this. People don't realize it. I don't know why people don't realize it, but it's something that people don't think about. Adults don't have relationship with children. Adults have adult relationships with adults. And so when a child is being abused in a home, quite often the abuse will go up totally unchecked because nobody cares about that child. And the reason being is that they don't have a relationship with that child. They have a relationship with the parent. So these people loved my mom. They absolutely loved my mom. This woman actually kind of considered my mom to be her mother. She was my friend, my sister's friend, my 18-year-old sister's friend from the street that we were living on in Levita. And she loved my mom, right? So it was all about my mom's needs. It was always about my mom's needs, right? And never about ours, So these people they knew what was going on. They could say to me, they're still living, all of them today, and they could come up to me and they could say, look, we had no idea that your mother was doing this to you. And even if she did, you probably deserved it. And that's probably what they would say. How can a child deserve to be treated like that? No, never. There was nothing that I ever did that I could deserve that. I'll go into more detail here. This is going to be a graphic show. I'm going to talk about some horrific beatings and burnings, and it's absolutely horrific. So I went with them. My mom did finally let me go after about an hour of them trying to convince her that I should be allowed to go see Santa Claus and get my photo taken. Right. So I did, and I have that picture. It's a miracle that my sister had it. My sister hung on to a lot of the pictures. There wasn't very many pictures of me taken, very, very few, a handful. And besides my school photos. And so, oh, here's my little cat. Here's Lori, little Lori. Cecil, my husband named her Little Lori after me. She's really sweet. And so there's a photo of me, and I actually have it around. It's placed around, and it's hard to see the detail, but I'm standing there next to the Santa Claus at the mall, and he's looking at my face, like, and then he's looking at these people that I'm with because he's thinking, are those the bastards that beat her? Oh my God, and he's looking at them, and he's looking at me, and he's like, what the hell? I mean, it was only like probably like 2.5 months after my mom had beat the shit out of me, and I mean, the damage was there. And so that photo was taken. You can see how skinny I was. I was actually very, very tiny at this point. Even 10 years old, I wasn't very big. And, just horrific, absolutely horrific. So 11 rolls around. I turn 11. And it's summertime. And what I really wanted to talk about was the fact that I had a halter on. This summer was actually horrific for me, 11 years old. I was coming through the back door to go through the kitchen, which I should have just avoided my mom anyway, but for some reason, I thought it was okay. I came in through the back door to go through the kitchen to go to the living room, to probably go to my room or go to the bathroom or something. I was wearing like a angel, they used to have those tops with angel wings, those really pretty floppy kind of angel wings, and it was like a halter thing. So it was there's an open skin on the side here. And I was a little kid, 11 years old. And it was summertime, and I came walking by my mom, and she was pulling a sheet pan of cookies out of the oven. And she just turned, and I don't think she did it on purpose. I seriously don't. I don't think that she knew I was there, because I probably came up pretty fast behind her. And she turned and burnt my side with this cookie pan, right? It was hot, and it burned me. So I yelled. I yelled out. I was like, ow! And I was like, kind of upset about it, right? I was never gonna say you burned me. My mom would beat the shit out of me, right? So I just was yelling out. So my mom got mad at me for walking behind her because I got burned. She's like, "Look what you made me do!" And then she grabbed me and she's like, "You're doing this to yourself," because she just loved to get her hands on me. Any excuse, any reason that she could just hurt me. Great for her because she could take her frustrations out on the hatred that she had for my dad, and the hatred for the fact that her son was murdered. Nobody knew who did it. The hatred for the fact that I'm just this little whore. Oh, unbelievable. She's the one that let my brother come and rape me almost every night. For a year. Absolutely unacceptable. Unacceptable. And so she grabbed me and was like, "You're doing this to yourself." And started pushing me in the oven, and the oven door was down. She had put the cookie sheet on the table. And I'm going like trying to push back, right? Trying to push away from the oven while she's pushing me in, right? My knees are touching the oven. I'm burning my knees on this bloody oven door, on the inside of the oven door, which I'm screaming now. I'm like, and she puts my hands in the oven. She had me like this, pushing my hands on the oven racks. This happened really fast. It wasn't a long ordeal, but it hurt like hell. And I thought, how could you do that? My mind was just like, I could not understand why she would do this to me. I wasn't allowed to cry, but I was crying because it hurt like really bad. And burns are horrible, right? Anybody who's been burned knows how it feels. And so, it was horrific. I was 11 years old, just turned 11 in the summertime there. And she's cursing me. She takes me in the living room and starts slapping me around after I'm being burned. She doesn't care that she just burned me some more, put me in the oven. She didn't put me in, but she was shoving me in there just being a bitch. She was just being mean. She just wanted to hurt me, And I just, what do you do? She's like cursing me and slapping me, I couldn't say anything. I couldn't stand up for myself. I was not allowed to stand up for myself. I was like, yeah, just kill me some more, kill me some more. Go for it. I was already dead. So that was that summer. Later on in the year, my sister had and I were still sharing this room, right? So I'm 11, so my sister's 5.5 years older. She's 16 and a half now. I don't know for, I guess it was my fault. I don't really remember doing it, but someone, probably me, had left a spiral notebook with a pencil underneath the bed, underneath her bed, she said, because I never saw it happen. But she said she was making her bed and she put her foot under the bed to do something or whatever, stepped on that pencil and the lead went into her toe. So she had a piece of this pencil lead in her big toe, just shoved right in there. I mean, it broke off in her toe. Okay. So she came running out of the bedroom. I think I was in the living room, to be honest. Yeah, I was in the living room, actually. And she comes out of the bedroom. Mom! Mom! There's a pencil lead in my toe. Lori left pencil under the bed, and now it's in my toe. And my mom's like, oh, and I mean, I was like, oh, shit. So when my mom got mad, it was like me that would get beat on for sure. And since Kathy was pointing the finger at me, I was like, oh, I'm in for it now. And I didn't even stop to think if I did it or not. I'm just like, I started running, man. My mom came running behind me. And I made it out of the living. I made it out the front door into the front yard. It was daytime, summertime. There was traffic coming by. We lived on a busy street. We lived on a semi-busy street. There was always vehicles on that street. It wasn't like a thoroughfare, like a freeway. The freeway was right by it. The freeway entrance was the backyard. Like the backyard, if you just went over the fence, you were on the freeway, right? It was right there. So it was a busy corner lot street. There was no other house there. It was just that's the lot and that's the house. And if you see pictures of it, which you can today, 5211 Indian School Road. The freeway entrance was right there. This is a busy street. San Mateo was right there. That was a busy thoroughfare. But the little Indian School Road was semi-busy. And so I'm booking out the front door. I get out the screen door. I'm out booking through the yard, and I'm thinking I'm definitely running now because I didn't used to run from my mom. Actually, I don't know what made me run from her because I never ran from my mom. Because if you run from my mom and she catches you, you're dead meat, man. You're already dead meat anyway, but if you run, you're really dead meat. But I ran. I guess I panicked. And she came out with a belt and knocked me down. And the front yard it was kind of a dirt, sort of a New Mexico, the desert is, unless you have a lawn that's got lots of grass and you spend a lot of money watering it, you're going to have like a natural front yard. And this front yard had little patches of grass, probably. I mean, it was like patchy, kind of deserty grass. Mainly, it was cactus patch. In the middle, there was like this like a sort of a spot right in the center of the yard that somebody before us, before we moved in there, had put in cactus plants and stuff like that, and flowers and stuff. Well, my mom knocked me to the ground in that thing. And I went down into it, into the dirt. There's goat heads everywhere. That type of a yard has lots of goat heads. And those are those real thorny weeds, actually. They grow in the ground. And if you get those in you, man, I mean, it's a drag. They actually burn, they sting, I think they're obnoxious. They're really bad. Goat heads, that's what we used to call them. They're like thorny things. And they're big. They're actually quite large. And so I'm down on my hands and knees, right, in this bloody cactus patch. Cactus in my knees, goat heads in my knees, cactus in my arms and my wrists right here where I fell. Cactus is in my hands. And right there, I'm like, oh, son of a... I mean, it hurt like hell. And my mom comes out wheeling. She knocked me to the ground and starts whipping me with this belt. Well, I had shorts on. It's summertime. Dust is flying. My mom's beating the crap out of me in the front yard with the traffic going by. And I mean, cursing me, calling me my mom had a mouth like a sailor. I won't even I have cursed a little bit on this a couple of shows, but I'm not going to go into detail. She called me every name you could think of. And just, you, God, she just hated me. And you know, I sit there. This is the stuff that bothers me. I'm like, how could you do that? How could you do that to a child that loves you? I used to bring my mom flowers on Mother's Day. I used to go steal them from the neighbor's yard because, nobody was going to help me to go get something from my mom, and I used to go take flowers and bring her these beautiful flowers and write poems for her and everything, and she just hated me. She wanted to turn me into herself. She couldn't stand me because I loved her. You know? I mean, it was just sick. But anyway, she beat the shit out of me. And the neighbors, there was a whole bunch of people out watching this, which was really a drag. It was really quite embarrassing because cars were driving by and they would sort of slow down, right? And I'm still on the ground getting my ass beat and my legs beat with this belt. And my mom was like 5'11", almost 6 feet, 280 pounds, whipping me with this belt. And I'm not that big, at this point, still pretty small. And, you know, nobody does anything. They just all stand there and watch, right? The neighbors across the street, the house was on a corner, and there was one little cross path, like a cross street that was just right there. Across from that was this other house where we knew these people, and there was a bunch of kids living there. It was a very dysfunctional situation too over there, but at least I don't think they were being abused like that. But they were all out in the yard watching my mom beat me, just standing there going, and and I'm just like, this just went on for a long time. My mom really got a good one in on this one because she was out in public and she was like, yeah, I'm gonna give it to her, and she was giving it to me. Let me tell you. And she's kicking me. She's like, you're a fucking whore, and just beat the shit out of my legs. And there's cars driving by. My mom's like, I'm gonna kill you, you goddamn bitch. And I'm like, you'd think somebody would stop and say, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna report this. This is abuse. It's not discipline. Look what you're doing to your kid, right? No, nobody stopped. They just kept driving. They'd slow down and go. I'm just watching, and I'm like, motherfucker. So my mom, after she's finished, walks back in the house, got her, and I'm laying in the dirt out in the front yard in the middle of the daytime, you know, just wigging out. I have so much pain, and I can't say anything. I can't do anything. Nobody's going to help me out, you know. And it was so embarrassing to have to stand up, get off the ground, and go back in the house? Unreal, And the neighbor kids just going, right? It was absolutely horrific. Unacceptable. That's just more abuse, Continuation of more abuse on top of more abuse. Well, a few days later, actually, it probably was like about a week later, I'm over across the other people's house who had seen the beating, and some of them were out in the front yard. People were out watering their lawns. I mean, lots of people saw it. Right? Nobody did anything. Right? My parents were always beating us out in public, but nobody cared. But this one was definitely the worst, and for me. And my mom never did go take my sister to get the lead out of her toe. Right? So there's my sister mad at me now because she's got lead in her toe. My mom's pissed off because I left a pencil under the bed, and and I get the rat shit beat out of me. So it's just more my life. It's like just killing me more and more every day, every day, every day. So my little friend has me over to her house for just to play for the afternoon or whatever. So I go over there, and I'm wearing shorts. People saw me getting beat. I'm like, I don't have very many clothes anyway to begin with, and whatever. People were always seeing me beat up and banged up, right? So she's like, yeah, look what your mom did to your legs, man. She's like, I'm gonna go show my mom. So she takes me into her parents' place, into the house, because we were playing out in the yard. And there's a bunch of people there. I don't even know who all these people were. This is just my friends, my little friend across the street's parents, and a whole bunch of family members were there. Who knows who these people were? Aunts and uncles. I mean, I really don't know. And she's like, look what her mom did to her legs. Her mom beats her. Look at that. And these people were like, laughing. They laughed. They laughed at me. You know, it was just more pain on top of more pain on top of more pain. But I was so introverted at that point, I really never really used to say much until I got to be 12 years old, after I hit 12. But, you know, it was just horrific. You know, that year, same time, same summer, 11 years old, my my brother's friend was hanging around the house quite a bit. He was always there. I don't know why he would. Maybe he just had a really bad home. I don't know. He was always over at our house, hanging around. He was outside a lot of times in the yard. You just never know when he was going to be around. And he never bothered me or anything like that. And I didn't distrust him. I didn't have a reason to. I didn't really trust anybody. But he didn't freak me out or anything like that. But he comes in the living room, and I'm in the living room, and he's like, you know, I just want to check something out. He says, I'm just going to, if you don't mind, there's nobody else in the living room with us. Right? He's like, I just want to see, because I'm actually drawing a picture. And which turns out he is true. He was an artist. But this is totally inappropriate. He says, I want you to lift your top and show me your breasts. My mom's in the next room. And what do I say? I guess. And why? Because nobody told me to say no. My brother was allowed to rape me for a year, for almost a year. And it wasn't one time, and it wasn't two times, it wasn't three times. I mean, this went on and on and on. My mom knew about it, you know? And now here's this, I don't know, 20-year-old guy wanting to fondle my breasts, right? This is just how my life was. You know, this is a problem for abuse survivors, right? Because they're not allowed to stand up for themselves. Every time they do, they get the backhand. So you don't say anything. You don't try. You can't protect yourself. Somebody comes up, you just let them do whatever they're going to do. It becomes a real problem. So, you know, it was just absolutely horrific. I started in the 12th grade. At 12 years old, I was in, I started school when I was 4. So I was 6, in the 6th grade, I was 10. And in the 7th grade, I was 11. And in the 8th grade, I was 12. So right around this time, you know, I just had no self-esteem whatsoever. You know, I just, if you see my school photos from that age, like 11 and 12, I just had there was nothing left. So my pictures are very dead. I look dead. I was dead. You know, I had this guy at school, at junior high school, because I didn't have any real friends at that point in school with me because my other friends had to go to different schools. And this guy grabbed my crotch out in the schoolyard in front of a bunch of people. It was a joke. But after what I went through with my brother raping me, sexually abusing me, I freaked out. And I chased this guy down and I beat his ass. I literally kicked his ass. I kicked him, I stomped him, I cursed at him, I beat the shit out of him before a teacher could get over there to get me off of him. And he apologized and he never did that again, I'm sure of it. That's all that. But, you know, I was like, that's enough, you know? And it just had such, I could, you know, from forever, could not let anybody get close to me. No one touches me. No one's allowed to touch me, right? That's my protection, which means no intimacy, no loving touch, no kindness. I just became this closed off person, this young person, and I started to shut down. And I did. I really felt dead from 10 years old. 11 and 12, I was just more dead all the time. And this is what happens to children who just continue to not get the help that they need and continue to be abused and continue to be put down, run down, and to be made to feel that they don't deserve to be alive and that they're worthless, that they're useless, and that they don't matter, that they need to be dead. My mother would tell me, you should have died with the other stillborn babies, the other two, because she lost two babies stillborn. And she would be like, you should have never made it. You should have died. I should have killed you when you were a baby. She'd be like, I changed your diapers and I fed you, and this is the thanks I get, and God damn it. This was my mother. And everybody loved her. She had so much support. She had so many people that even today would sit there and just say, well, we just loved your mom. She made cookies. She was so good to us. She's a beautiful person. Well, it's really a shame. So it's been an incredibly hard journey for me. And I know that my story is not unique. I was a raped child, born out of rape. I was raped by my brother. Beaten and tortured, really, just mistreated. And then the family, of course, doesn't want to hear it. Because in their mind, they don't want to be thinking about that. They want to think about, oh, we loved mom. Well, we all did. Doesn't mean what she did was right. Not at all. And that's the problem with abuse. People have relationships with the abusers, not with the abused children. That's why it's so easy. And when you think about it, when you get in and you study abuse and child abuse especially, the reason why it's so easy for people to kill their children and to beat on them until they do die, right, or to try to take away the life necessities so that they do die, is because they have no bond with that child and they don't care. They don't care about that child. My mom, like I said on a previous show, I said, I used to be like, after a beating, I'd be like, what am I going to tell my teacher? Looking at her like, now you're going to be in trouble. And she'd be like, tell her I hit you. Tell her I'm going to hit you again. Because she didn't care if she lost me. See? When parents don't care if they lose you to social services or you just disappear off the planet or whatever, die in your bed at night, they don't care, right? That's why it's so easy for abusers to kill and maim and hurt their children, because they don't care about these children. This is not a normal parent-child relationship where the parent loves that child and would never ever do anything to hurt that child on purpose. This isn't that kind of relationship, and I want people to know, what abuse is and what discipline isn't. Discipline is not abuse, and abuse is not discipline. They're two totally different things. Right? Well, we'll pick up the next time and we'll move on from here. And thank you, everybody, for sharing my work. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Thank you for your support over the years. I've had a lot of support from many thousands of people on Blog Talk Radio and Spreaker and different places, and Facebook and Twitter. And I have all kinds of people sharing my work. And thank you very much for doing what you can to stop child abuse. This is my number one goal. Also, for survivors out there, like I said, you stick it out. And every day, it's a challenge, but that's my fight. It doesn't matter how bad the day gets. It doesn't matter if people say, oh, well, you survived the abuse, the worst of it's over. That's sometimes not true. I mean, sometimes that's just, I'd say 99% of the time that's not true, because the abuse, the damage done to me, I'm still suffering from it today. But the issue is that that fight to make it is is exactly what has to happen in order to find peace against my abusers, these people that hurt me, which was my mother, my dad, my brother. So when I succeed and I make it, and I get up every day and I do the things I need to do to take care of myself, and I don't hurt myself, and I don't self-injure, and I don't kill myself, and I don't try to attempt suicide, and I don't even think about suicide, and I sit there and I think, I'm doing good. I'm on a steady path, and I have love in my heart. I know what it is to love, to be loved. Um, that is a slap in my abuser's face. That's the way I get back at them, because they couldn't destroy me. When I was a little kid, when I was really little, I had a lot of love in my heart. I was, for some reason, just very compassionate to people. I was just one of these little kids, and my mom beat it out of me, beat it out of me, and I wanted to die. And something inside of me, age 42, said, "Live. Got to do this. Have to win this fight, this battle." And I'm so thankful for all the help that I've received along the way. Since the age of 42, I've had a lot of people help me out, Kate Mitchell being one, and a lot of people, Donnie Shear, Lee Roberts. Um, I could name so many, so many, so many. These are my family, and they love me unconditionally. And, for survivors out there, to you've got to care about yourself. Mhm. You've got to learn how to care about yourself, right? So walk this walk with me. God bless you all till the next time. Bye bye.